Oh my gosh, I can't get over the wrong birthday.
I know.
Maybe.
I think it's pretty awesome that
Not yet.
I walked in and I'm like, we're matching. And then you walked in, it's like, we're all matching.
You're kidding me. I was
great.
gonna take my hair out of these so it was wavy.
No, it's
but I
so
feel like
really
it's kind of
cute.
cute.
It
It's
is cute.
super cute.
Okay. I've never done anything like this before.
It reminds me of a like girl rock band movie that I'm trying to think. Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh my God,
Did
yes,
you guys
they
see
have
that?
the ears.
Yes,
Yeah, I
of
used to
course.
watch that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
There
true.
should be
Because my
something-
feet fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Right.
Also, I think we need to make a point of washing our feet.
I know, I was
Washing
just gonna
our
say mine
feet
look
before.
That's a good point. You know what we should do
I've
is keep
noticed-
some baby wipes close by.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh,
They're like, what were they
I'm just gonna
doing?
do this because I can see my sandals stained.
Oh, wait. Can we start that over?
Yeah.
Take two.
Hi.
Hello.
Aloha.
Welcome to Talk to Us Mama.
Yeah.
Episode number
5. 'Cause, yeah, 5.
Yeah, today I'm going to talk about my birth story with Ella. And,
The episode we've all been waiting for.
yeah, let's see if I can
We've been talking it
remember
up.
all the details.
We've been talking this one up. a
I
little
know.
bit. Is it gonna be shorter?
I think it might be just because it was a shorter labor, so it's got to be a little shorter.
Yeah.
Amelia's was just like,
Exciting.
I just feel like there's so many details
There
we
is.
need to get out in this
there's
one.
a lot of detail, so if I forget something, please call me out and then
Yeah.
I'll go over it because I feel like I'm definitely gonna forget
Yeah.
stuff.
Cool.
So, okay, so I guess I'll talk about my pregnancy a little bit. I had a great pregnancy. I felt amazing. Baby was great. Everything was wonderful. There was many times I thought I was actually going into labor, just like you with Walker.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of Braxton Hicks, and it was just kind of the norm for me. Like, I would go for a hike and come home, and I'd have contractions. And there was 1 or 2 times where I literally was like, tonight's the night. And it was early. It was like 4 or 35 weeks, which really freaked me out.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. So I went 39 and 1 day. Yeah, 39 and 1 day, and it was a Saturday. And an important detail is, well, kind of not important, but a funny detail is that Saturday we planned Amelia's birthday celebration.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we
That.
wanted everyone to come over and just do the whole birthday thing because the girls had the same due date and birthday. So Ella was due the 22nd, and November 22nd, and Amelia's birthday was November 22nd. So I just didn't want the baby coming on that day and then not having a chance to, sing happy birthday and let her blow the candles out or whatever. So, the night before we marinated carnitas. We had all the stuff for guac ready. We were ready just to have you guys over, close friends and family. And so that was the night before. So I woke up in the morning, probably 8 o'clock, and I felt different for sure. And Steve asked me, he said, how'd you sleep? I said, not very good. The baby was moving a bunch. And
you didn't know it.
and we didn't know, right? So I say baby a lot because we didn't know the gender. It was supposed to be a surprise. I mean, it was a surprise. I thought it was a girl, pretty much from the beginning, but everyone else seemed to think it was going to be a boy.
I thought girl.
Yeah, you did. I remember you saying that,
I
Amelia.
thought
I
girl,
could
but I
just
think
see
I
him-
was hoping
Boy.
Yeah,
I know. But just to
because,
kind of level it.
But
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
She was perfectly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, so where was I? Okay, so I woke up at 8, and,
I called you that morning. I was like, you want to go on a walk?
You did. Yeah, because we were also hiking pretty much, a couple times a week if I was up for it. So I woke up, and I didn't want to go for a walk because I think I told you I just was having a bunch of contractions the night before.
I remember. I think
Yeah,
it was
you just
the
kind of did when you were
text.
tired.
Yeah, I was just tired, and the baby moved a ton the night before. It wouldn't settle down, and kind of kept me up all night. But I didn't feel oh, this is it. I'm in labor. I honestly just kind of felt like it's another Braxton Hicks episode. Probably gonna go over 40 weeks. Who knows what's gonna happen. So I was like, yeah, I kind of like the baby dropped. And Steve said, well, what do you mean dropped? And I'm sure all you mamas know, when the baby drops, you can tell your belly is literally lower. And I felt like it was lower, and I just felt like there was so much movement that something was different. So he's just like, okay, well, you know, whatever, like, we'll just monitor it. So I text my mom and I said, I think, you know, today might be the day. And by this time it's 8:30 around. I mean, I could check my text messages, but it's about 8:30 in the morning. So she says, well, can I send a group message out to, you know, all the family members? And I was like, well, let's just wait a little bit because, you know, it could still be like 24 hours before anything happens. So Steve starts making breakfast. We started the carnitas. Amelia's doing her thing. And I just all of a sudden was just like, I need to do something. Like, our bags were pretty much packed, but there was still like so much to do. So I just start like going through all the bags, Amelia's, Steve's, and my own, and just making sure that we had everything, you know, ready to go.
And you were going to do a hospital birth, right?
Yeah, we were planning another hospital birth. And so I just kind of was feeling like achy and crampy, and I kept having to pee and go to the bathroom. And I think at like, it was probably like 9, I was like, yeah, things are like happening. I think we should really, you know, let's plan to take Amelia to Tara's, where she was going to stay the night with one of my really good friends and her boys. And let's go, you know? And so all of a sudden Steve's like, okay, well, I have like all these things I need to do. He had like, I mean, literally our house was like a disaster. We had like, we needed to clean. We have a cat, so it was like litter box needed to be emptied out or cleaned, the backyard, all the dog poop, like just things that we probably should have done every single day leading up to 40 weeks, but we didn't, we weren't doing that.
And those are the little things that you think of right away.
Well, and the little, for him, those are the little things that he's thinking of, and I'm just like, okay, and I'm feeling good, I'm in good spirits, I'm not scared, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna labor. And our original plan was, because I was at the hospital so long with Amelia and it was very drawn out, our goal was like, look, let's try to labor at home as long as possible, and then we decided like, you'll know when it's time to go. So that was the plan from the get-go.
Did he tell you to go lay down?
He did. He did. So he said, because that's one thing, so it was like probably 9 and I was just kind of like achy and crampy and I was just like, I don't know what's going on. So he said, why don't you go and lay down and like, you know, rest. If you're in labor, then you should rest. And I was like, okay, but my mind is like, no, I have all the stuff I need to do, which is like the bags and, you know, just make sure that everything was taken care of. So I think I sent out a message to maybe you or you, I'm not really sure, like, hey, today might be the day, right? Didn't they text you guys?
No.
I didn't?
No, we didn't.
Steve
texted us.
He did? Okay,
Yeah.
That's wild. Because I feel like I might have said, or maybe it was just because the whole hiking thing, like, yeah, I'm not up for going anywhere.
Yeah.
So what happens next? I started getting uncomfortable, and it was getting like significantly more intense. So I just told him, you know what, I just want to labor in the bath. I'm just gonna like, you know, use my essential oils, and I have like this Insight Timer app. I don't know if you guys have that, but they have like really awesome meditation songs and music. So I was like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. We start the bath. I have my essential oils and just kind of breathing through my contractions. And there were some that hurt, but they were, you know, not that bad. I mean, I don't want to say not that bad because contractions obviously suck, but they weren't that terrible. And I think at that point is when I started to kind of time them just so I could get an idea, like, okay, this is what's going on. And they were all over the place. Like my first one that I started to track, it was like 7 minutes, and then it went 8 minutes, and then it went down to 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. So Steve comes in, and I'm in the bath, and he's like, are you hungry? I'm like, yeah, I probably should, you know, if I'm in labor, I should probably eat something. So I like sit in the bath, and I'm like eating eggs and toast and avocado, but I didn't have an appetite. So I had like 3 bites, and I'm like, I can't eat this right now. My body is not, I'm not going to allow that. So I hung out in the bath probably, maybe I want to say 45 minutes. So just to go back to like the clock, it's probably 9:45 at this point. I had been in the bath for a while. I get out of the bath, I go into the bedroom, and that's when things started to like really like intensify. So, and I don't mean like the contractions weren't closer, but they started becoming more like intense. I'm like, like more painful, I guess you could say, but not necessarily like closer together. So I remember, yes.
I'm sorry, was it back labor again?
No. So I didn't have back labor.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't this time. The first time I did, which was
Yeah.
obviously very awful. But this was, I could feel, my whole stomach tightening and not a lot of pain in my back. So, which was great because that was one thing I was really terrified of with my second pregnancy.
Yeah.
Was like, I just don't know if I could handle another back labor delivery because it just took a lot out of me the first time. So, Steve and Amelia come in and we're in the room and I just wanted to be on all fours. It just kind of like felt good. So I'm laying on the floor on my hands and knees and it was so cute. Like they're both like have their hands on me.
Aww.
It was seriously, so it's like one of the most like memorable things about my labor with Ella is that like Amelia's like, it's okay mommy, like breathe mommy, like
Oh,
just
that'd be so cute.
oh
She's an
seriously,
angel.
like the sweetest. I mean, and she knew what was going on, but she didn't obviously know like what I was feeling. She just knew that mommy was in labor. She was having contractions. So we did that for a few minutes, and then I wanted to like bend over the bed and just kind of have Steve counter the pressure, which I also did in my first labor. So I did that for a little bit. Didn't feel good. I was like, I don't want to be on my stomach. I mean, I wasn't like on my stomach, but I was kind of like laying over. Obviously, that would be really impossible to do. So with a big old belly. So then things started like really like, getting kind of crazy. And I remember going to the kitchen. I was like, okay, like we gotta go. Like it's time to go. It's maybe 10 o'clock or 10:30. I don't honestly really know, but I kept tracking, and they were still all over the place. We were still going like 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes back to back, and then 4 minutes, and then it'd go 8. So I'm like, I know I'm in labor, but in my mind I wasn't thinking like, oh, you're in like, second stage.
Yeah.
Or second stage. I was just thinking like, we're gonna be here, all day is what I thought. I'm like, I have at least like 12 hours before this baby is coming. Ladies, don't ever convince yourself that you're gonna have a 12-hour labor, because no.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, right? It could go in either direction. But, so things started to get intense, and I was kind of getting frustrated with Steve because he has like all these chores that he needs to do, and I'm in pain, and you need your support partner, and but he was still very helpful, but I was just like, let's just get this going because I want to go. And he said to me like, oh, well, maybe it's, it's going to be a while. What did he say? He's like, we don't want to be at the hospital for a really long time. And I was like, I agree, because I didn't want to be laboring in the hospital, because the hospital's not like the most comfortable place to labor. I mean, you do it, but it's like, wouldn't you rather be at home? I mean, personally, I would rather be at home. So we're there, and things start to intensify, and I just knew it. I was like, okay, we gotta go now. And I kept saying it. We gotta go now. We gotta go now. And he's just like, okay, I'm getting everything ready. So we finally are like going downstairs, and I'm in a lot of pain. Like at this point, I probably was already in transition, but I didn't like register that. I was just like, this is just intense. I'm in labor. It hurts. I forgot.
Yeah.
Labor hurts. It sucks, right? I shouldn't say it sucks, but it's hard. It's so hard on your body.
Yeah, it's
So
exhausting.
it's exhausting. And then I also started feeling nauseous. Like I kept feeling those like surges of nausea, and I said to him, grab a bag or grab a bucket. I said something because I don't want to throw up in the car. I just, who wants to do that? So we get downstairs, and I think he loaded Amelia in, or maybe she climbed up and I buckled her in. I honestly don't really remember, but everything was ready to go. And Steve can't find the keys, and I'm like in full.
gosh.
I know.
I don't know if I knew that part.
Dude, I was like, it was one of those details that I will never forget, because I was like, what do you mean you don't know where the keys are? And he's like, where did you put them? And I'm like, you were the last one that drove the car. Because he was the last one who drove the car the night before. And I'm just like, at this point, I'm like sick. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I didn't throw up, but I'm severely like in transition. And that's when it hit me. I was like, fuck, like this is serious, So finally he like finds the keys, and it felt like 20 minutes, but honestly it was probably like 3 or 4. So they were in his pocket, his board shorts from yeah, I know, right? And he always gets on me about like, where'd you leave the keys? I'm like, of course, the day I'm in labor you do that.
Oh my god.
I know, it was funny. So we get in the car, and we're like backing out, and he's like, put your seatbelt on please, and I'm like, no, like don't. I was like, I don't want to put my seatbelt on. I was kind of mean. I mean, I was pretty mean. I was like, I'm not putting my seatbelt on. And he's like, Mo, please. He's like, the last thing I need is like us getting an accident and something happening. And I'm like, don't ask me to put my seatbelt on again. And I'm like literally holding on to the oh shit handle. And I'm like,
The oh shit handle?
yeah, you know the handle, the oh shit
my
handle.
god.
Yeah, you know the oh shit handle.
I know what it is, and I knew what you meant when you said that, but I've never heard that
Yeah,
before.
so I'm like holding.
That's so funny. It makes
Oh
so
yeah,
much sense.
it is. It's like oh shit. Oh shit, grab on tight.
Should be the pregnant woman.
It should be
Yeah.
like the labor handle. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh yeah, I remember I grabbed that the whole way to the
oh,
hospital.
dude, because you don't want to be like this. I mean, I didn't personally.
Yeah.
And also another side note is my back was starting to hurt, so I knew that like I wasn't thinking that it was back labor, but I was thinking, okay, like we're pretty far into
Something's happening.
that's happening, yeah. So I'm like holding on, and I think with my other hand I'm like holding myself up, and I'm like getting contractions that are like literally like back to back to back, and I didn't even like think, you know, oh, this baby's coming right now. I was just like, let's just get Amelia to Tara's and just get to the hospital. Like those were my goals. So Steve, you know, I think I even told him, I was like, if it's red and it's safe, just run it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want to get to the hospital. And so we're driving down the, you know, the highway, and we get down to the lower road, which is where Tara lives. And the minute we like turned on the lower road, I just suddenly felt that urge that like something was going on. Oh, I said, I have to poop. And he was like, you have to poop. I was like, I really need to poop. Like, I have to poop. Not so calm. And he's like, you have to poop. I'm like, I have to poop right now. And he's like, what? And I'm again like holding on, doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I just felt it. I felt that like that bearing down feeling, and you know the head wasn't like, it wasn't coming out, but I could feel that the baby was
coming down.
It was
was
coming
really
down. Her
down.
head was in position, and I just feel that pressure, and I think that is what made me feel like I had to poop. And yeah, right, because you just
totally.
like everything, it's pushing, right? It's so much pressure.
Oh yeah, it's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing moving down, and so that's when I said, I was like, I have to poop, I have to push, and he's like, what? And immediately I was like, call an ambulance. And so he gets on the phone, and he doesn't call an ambulance, he calls Tara. And I know.
Oh my God.
And so he calls Tara to basically tell her, hey, we're coming. Run down to meet us, to get, basically to like, so we could get Amelia out. Yeah, and get the car seat out, and then so we can jam. Which is funny, I don't know why either one of us thought that like we would still make it 45 minutes. But
Yeah.
I don't
All the way to the hospital.
I'm not even like crossing my mind,
You're
literally.
like needing to push.
I just feel like the baby bearing down, and I'm like, oh my god, it didn't register, like that baby's coming soon, you know? So, so I kept saying, I was like, I need to push, and he's like, don't push. And then we turn into the breakers, and as we're turning into the breakers, he's on the phone with dispatch, and he's giving them the address for the breakers, because it's like on, it says like whatever, 37, I don't even know the address. So he's reading it off, 3710, so he's reading it off, and they're like, okay, you know, we're going to get there as soon as possible. So we turn in, we speed up, we go into the loading zone, and Tara's downstairs waiting because Steve had called her. And she opens my door, and she takes one look at me, and I could just see, like, I can remember her face. She's like, hey, you know, Tara's so, like, calm. She's so serene and, like, so sweet. She's like, hey, and then she's like, oh. So she knew by the look on my face that, like, things were really serious.
Oh my God.
I mean, super serious. So she like shoves this bottle of Young Living lavender essential oil into my face. It like touched my nose, and she's like, breathe. And I like took in this huge inhale, and then I exhaled, and I'm not even kidding you guys. It like calmed me down. Immediately I was just like, okay, like we can do this. I can do this. Because I'm like small kind freaking out. Like obviously I can feel the baby crowning or whatever. And I'm scared. I'm so scared because I'm like, I don't want to have a baby in a car. Does anybody want that? Especially with my husband who's not trained. No one around is trained to deliver a baby. And you know, so I was freaking out. And then everything happens so fast. Steve gets out of the car. He removes Amelia, takes the car seat out, and he pushed my seat back, the passenger seat, which is where I was sitting. He pushes it back, and I remember Tara was on the phone with dispatch, and they kept saying, like, well, she's on speaker. have her lay down some towels and have her lay on her back. And she's just like, we're beyond that. Like, you guys need to get here now. Like, she's not going to lay down. And I wasn't going to lay down. That was like the last position I wanted to be in. So, oh my gosh, what happens after that? So, so he pushes the seat back. Amelia's out of the car. She's so far out of my mind. I'm so thankful that the boys were, Tara's children were downstairs. The property manager is also down there. He just happened to be like around, and because he lives on site, and he just happened to be around. So he's like watching the kids, and Tara's on the phone. Steve's just like, okay, like breathe, you know, whatever's going on. I instinctively flip over onto my hands and knees, because that just like was the position that I guess my body wanted to be in. And again, I never like told myself flip around. I just did it.
Oh, that's
it just
cool.
happened. I never thought like, oh, it'll be better to birth a baby in this position. It was
From
instinct.
what I read.
Yeah, right. It was just instinct. Like instinct kicked in, and it was like flip around.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah,
super cool. Your body is amazing. Like
Yeah, it knows what to do.
yeah. So I flipped around and I started like the way that where the car was positioned, there's another complex that's across the way. I mean, it's probably, I want to say like 60 to 70 feet across the way, but for whatever reason, I was highly concerned about somebody just like watching me birth this baby, someone that I didn't know, like recording it. So I'm like, throw the towels on the window, and he's like, what? I'm like, just cover the window. So he like throws the towel on the dashboard, and I'm like, on the window, and he like goes around, lays the towel out. I don't even know if he opened it, I can't remember. And oh, that's right, Tara sent her son and the property manager upstairs to get towels because I think I had like one beach towel in the car that was just already there, but we didn't have any. We weren't prepared to have a baby in the car. You know, we didn't think we were going to need any towels. So,
So that might be a takeaway.
blankets or towels are always good to have, right? And I think I had one because it was my hospital towel. Like, you know, the hospital ones are really scratchy.
Yeah.
I remember that from Amelia, like getting out of the shower and being like, this isn't very comfortable. So I think that's why I had the towel in my bag. But so the boys go upstairs, they get the towels. Steve throws one on the window because that's what I was concerned about. And then she just started coming out, and I felt that I told Steve, I said, I have to push, and he said again, don't push, the medics aren't here yet. And I'm like, I have to push, and I didn't even try that time. It just like my body pushed. I wasn't like telling myself to,
my gosh.
and apparently the head comes out, and he was just like, oh my, and Steve's like pacing. He's like, oh my God, there's a head. Like I can just hear, I can't see him, but I can hear him. And so he's right behind me, and the head comes out, and then he says to me, okay, the head is out. You need to push with all of your might, like with the, I don't know if he said with the next contraction, but I knew in my mind that I had to wait for the contraction.
Yeah.
So my next contraction comes, you know, because at this point they're back to back trying to get the baby out. And I pushed a second push, and the whole body came out, and he caught her. And then I turned around, and he said, he's like, it's a girl. And I'm like, and I was just like, not even caring the gender. I was just like, is the baby okay? Because they come out, again, so purple, and she was very blue when she came out. I know she was fine, obviously, because my umbilical cord was doing just fine, giving her oxygen.
Yeah.
But, sorry, I gotta stretch. But, yeah, so I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, is she breathing? And I kept saying that, like, is the baby breathing? Is the baby breathing? And he was like, yeah, we're good. And he hands her to me, and I have like a towel around her. She's all warm and slimy, so precious. And her eyes are like a little squinty. And I instinctively, again, I took off my bathing suit top, and I latched her. And I'm like looking at her, and she's literally like filling with color. Like she went from blue purple, all of a sudden she's like this pink color, and she continued to get more pink.
Oh yeah, she was the pinkest
She was so
baby.
pink. Oh my God, yeah, like a little baby piglet, so cute. So she's super pink, and then I can hear the sirens. So I know the fire department is there, and they came, and it was a woman firefighter, and she comes into the driver's side of the car, and she starts like suctioning, and she's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good, baby's good. And she starts suctioning all the mucus, and we just kind of sat there and nursed for a minute. And then shortly after the medics got there, I I want to say from like when Ella came out to when the fire department got there, it was probably like 3 to 5 minutes. I don't know. Time went by really fast, but that's kind of a long time, you know,
It
to
is,
not, right?
yeah.
To not have like, what do you do when a
To
baby
know.
comes out?
Yeah, in case there was anything wrong,
Anything.
that would have been like,
Yeah,
like a
or
year.
even like taking the fluid out of their mouth. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even. I know you need to do that, but I didn't even think to do that.
No.
You know.
Yeah.
I think Tara did. I think she swiped the inside of her mouth, but I didn't see it
Wow.
happen. Yeah, I don't remember that tiny detail. But so then the medics got there, and you know it was just like a whirlwind. I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. It's crazy.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and another side note is the dispatch. They gave the ambulance, the medics, the wrong number or wrong address, so they went to the other side of the breakers. So they were there before the fire department, but because they didn't know where
you were.
they went to a different address, and then I think obviously it got like, you know, whatever,
Wow.
cleared up. So then they showed up after the fire, because usually the medics show up first, I believe, and then the fire department.
Yeah.
So they got there, and this wonderful gentleman named Luke, he was just, you know, on top of it. They loaded me on the gurney and, you know, put us inside the ambulance. And I remember looking at Amelia, and she was just like this, like so wide-eyed,
Yeah.
like
what
just
happened?
what just happened? Well, and I think that for her, she was also freaked out because there was so much
Scared.
blood. You know, I mean, not so much blood, but there was blood, and
Oh,
she
yeah.
knew that mommy was, and she knew that mommy was in labor, and then all of a sudden there's a baby and there's blood. Like that can be very frightening.
Oh yeah.
See,
for
I
a
can
child.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I
What her
wasn't.
little mind was thinking.
What was she was thinking? Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny because she'll recite it back to me, like everything that happened. You know, once I was in labor. But so yeah, we got into the gurney, and my placenta was still intact. And I skipped a part, my cord. So when the fire department got there, they asked Steve like, "Oh, do you want to cut the cord?" And he was like, "No, I'm good." So I was really happy that it was able to like pulse out, which I think it was like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I don't really know, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. That it was, you know, on the baby, and that made me really happy because that was like the one thing that I really wanted with my, regardless of the outcome, I wanted to be able to have a delayed cord clamping.
Yeah.
Because there's super amazing benefits to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So we did that, and Steve was like, "I'm good. I just delivered this baby. I don't really need to cut the
Yeah,
cord."
right.
Yeah,
I caught her.
Yeah, I caught her, so I'm kind of like a midwife.
Yeah.
There's so many jokes about that. But I don't remember who cut the cord. It might have been the woman. And then we made our way to the hospital. I was like, you know, is the baby good? Are we good? And they were monitoring both of our oxygen levels. And she was like 99. She was perfect. My oxygen was also really good. Because that was like my biggest thing. Like, is she breathing? Can she
Yeah.
breathe
Yes.
well? We're not in a hospital. But I knew at that point, like, okay, the professionals are here. Like, I can relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I just talked story with Luke on the whole way over, and Ella just like was in my arms, you know, nursing the entire. I mean, she wasn't like actually probably swallowing anything, but she was stimulating my breast to
Yeah.
like, you know, like let's get this going. And I was like, how amazing that babies are so smart.
Oh my god.
That she stayed latched the whole way, and it was probably like a 45-minute drive. You know, it was this November in Maui in the middle of the day, like.
Yeah.
Traffic, and I don't think they ever blared the sirens, which I was very, very thankful for because I had like this fresh baby.
Yeah.
It's kind of traumatic,
I'm sure
right?
that's-
The
Yeah.
loud sirens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a great trip over, and then they took me into L&D, and oh my gosh, the OB was just like, what? Like, she looked at me and she was like, oh, everything's good, and she was just
Who
like,
was the OB?
it was oh my gosh, the blonde Kristen,
Redenbaugh.
Redenbaugh, yeah, and I love her. And she was just like, how are you doing? Baby's good, everything. I was like, yeah, it was crazy. Never thought that would happen. And she was like, how's your husband? Like, she really wanted to meet him
Yeah.
and talk to him
Nice
because,
question.
yeah, she was just like, is he traumatized? I was like, no, I think he's okay. Like, he did a great job coaching me through, you know, the birth of our second baby girl.
Oh my
So
goodness.
wild. And then they delivered the placenta, which was also kind of interesting that it didn't come out from, you know, it almost been an hour from when Ella came out to when the placenta was delivered. I was really surprised that it didn't like birth
Come out on
itself.
its own,
Yeah. But I was bleeding. I could feel like the gushes. So I knew, and the contractions. Oh my god, the afterbirth pains were really gnarly that time. Like way worse than my first for sure. And it was great because they took the placenta out, and I remember I got up and went to the bathroom. Like, what was wrong with me? I don't even know how I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And then they put me in recovery, and we were there.
You were able to stand up on your own.
I was able to stand up and go to the bathroom because I had to go to the bathroom.
Oh my god.
I remember after you,
I felt-
I feel like we went on a hike like 3 days after.
We
you
might
gave
have.
birth.
It was probably. I waited
Like,
for hiking.
what are you doing? Something.
But yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I was walking.
You were like
though.
walking around your house. Or
I
something.
was
We're
walking
like,
down the stairs, which is funny because
Oh.
pre-labor and pre-Ella, I was like, oh my gosh, like my recovery is going to be so difficult because of these
There's
stairs.
stairs, yeah.
And I
Not an
literally.
issue.
No, the hardest thing was that my core was so separated, my abdomen muscles were so separated from pregnancy that I didn't have a lot of strength, but there was no pain. I had very minor swelling.
Oh my gosh.
And
Did you tear?
and no, I did. I had like a tear on like the inside, like of my, majorum or whatever. But I didn't tear like any inside. I didn't have any like vaginal tears. Nothing that required stitches. She was like, "Oh, you have a tiny little tear."
It just like heal itself.
Basically, it was like if you had like a scratch, and she was like, I didn't even notice it.
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow,
and so
that's
she was like, "You don't need
amazing.
any stitching," and I was just like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. This
Yeah.
is the best part, right?" No.
Yeah.
So I had a really good recovery.
Yeah, that was like the most shocking thing. You're like, I don't feel any pain.
I
I'm
didn't
just
feel
tired.
any
Yeah.
pain. Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, my body was definitely tired, but I didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
like that, like that ache and that
Like that like swollen feeling.
No, I wasn't. I was swollen for maybe 24 hours at the hospital, but then by the time I was home, I remember
my
looking
God.
down and I was like, my vagina looks normal.
Oh my god.
Like, how is that even possible?
Wow.
I just pushed a baby out. I mean, Anella she was small. She was 6 pounds, 12 ounces. Definitely not as long as Amelia. She was 19 inches, but that's still a pretty average size baby. And I'm
Yeah.
like, how do I not have any swelling or discomfort?
Yeah.
Nothing. No hemorrhoids. Like, man.
That's
Yeah, I
like,
got
so lucky.
super blessed with that one because my first was not like that at all.
So you basically labored for 3 hours? Is that right?
Yeah, so from start to finish, I labored for 3 hours, like literally, almost like to the T, because I think she was born around like 10:55 or something like that. Yeah, it was like 10:55. And my labor started at like 8 in the morning, so just under 3 hours. Oh, and I should also add, because I feel like these are important details, because I know people watching are probably like, how did you not know you were in labor and have a baby in the car? So my water bag never broke. There's a good chance that I might have had a slow leak the morning that I woke up that Saturday, because I did keep having to pee. And it was just like, wow, I'm just having to pee so much. So there's a chance, but I'd never like had a gush of water. I wasn't like just standing up and leaking. I didn't have any like real signs that labor was like I was in it, you know.
Yeah.
And I also never lost my mucus plug
Oh, interesting.
ever with that pregnancy.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, because a lot of times you can lose it and it'll regenerate. I
Yeah,
never.
that's what mine did.
Yeah, I maybe had a little extra discharge that morning, but it wasn't pink. It was just like a normal day. Like you'd have a lot of discharge when you're in pregnancy, right? And nothing was out of the norm for me that was like, okay, the baby's coming today
Yeah.
in 3 hours. So
Wow.
And
Pretty
you're
wild.
intuitive. And
Yeah,
you've
totally.
done it before. Of course, it's going to be different. But
Yes.
it's not one of those stories like you didn't know you were pregnant.
right.
You know, you like knew to be aware of all
the signs, right? And I was
Which was
constantly
crazy.
paying attention to it,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, is something happening? And it was like, no, you're
Yeah.
just, to me it was like business as usual. Other than knowing,
Business as
other than knowing that the baby had like dropped down, because I felt her that night before. I remember feeling like her
That's
rocking.
so funny.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever felt that.
I never did with Amelia.
I
Yeah.
don't
So-
know if I did because he was always down.
Yeah,
He was
you
very
were
low.
So low.
Yeah, you were carried very low.
Very low.
Yeah, when we thought you were in labor a couple times,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's Ella's birth story.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. I'm
the
so
craziest
awesome.
birth story.
crazy. And I don't think I missed out any details. I feel like I
Got
covered
it all.
Yeah.
One detail I was just remembering. I don't know when this happened.
Yeah.
It was after you'd given birth. I think Steve told me. He said something to me. He's like, "What do you think about all this?" And she's like, "Good. Like, do you have any fruit snacks?"
Oh my god. Of course she would. That's all she cares about is fruit
Funny.
snacks. She's probably like, whatever, we're good.
Yeah.
That's good. She wasn't like traumatized.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. No, but it's funny because the two other boys that were also there, Tara's, her sons, they remember like the blood, the ambulance, the fire truck. Like
Oh, wow.
Finn, who's 2.5,
Yeah.
he talks about it all the time. Like every time Tara brings up Amelia and all of us, he talks about that day. And it's like,
Oh, really?
yes, I mean that's what he remembers. He associates us with the day Ella was born in the
Oh
car.
my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, so and I still have the
That's
car.
wild. Still have the car.
I don't ever want to get rid of it. This car is special to me.
Yeah, we were like,
Yeah.
should we get you like a car detailing and car wash for
Yeah.
like a gift?
Yeah, right.
Oh my god, Steve, he cleaned it. He steam
Yeah.
cleaned it. Because can you imagine, like,
No.
you guys, my car didn't even smell. Like, there was no, I'm very, like, I can smell everything, and there was never, like, an odor. Like, that there was a baby born in the car.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, never. Other than, like, the wet E. coli, like, gone, thrown away, there you would have no idea. Right? I
Yeah.
should have kept my dress, too, but it had a lot of blood on it.
I would have kept it.
I should have.
Yeah.
But I, like when they asked me, I was like in the hospital bed, and I was just like laying there, and I was just kind of like,
Don't talk to
Yeah,
me.
right? It just seemed like I don't care about anything.
I was just so
I have my
happy.
baby.
I was just so
Yeah.
grateful that that everything went the way that it went. I probably could have just stayed home and had the baby at home, but that wasn't the that wasn't the plan. So, and she came and no complications. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing
That's
for
really
that.
amazing.
So many things could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
I could have hemorrhaged. She could have had the cord around her neck. That she could have gotten stuck in the birth canal. Like
Mhm.
I'm sure there's so many just different situations that could have happened,
Yeah.
and none of that. She was just perfect.
Yeah.
I'm just so stoked.
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe be prepared
Ella.
Yeah. Always
in
good
a
to-
way to.
Yes. There's a lesson here.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I remember when we were
Yeah.
getting our bags ready, Andrew would always be like, I need to just figure out what I would need to do if you gave birth in the car. Because what
Right.
if there's traffic? We
What
have
if
one
there's
road to
traffic?
get to the hospital.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, okay, you do that.
You do that.
You're going to have to do it in the moment, so you figure that out.
Yeah, figure out what you're gonna do because you're not
Yeah.
gonna be thinking about like coaching him. You're gonna be like, I'm in labor and
He's
Yeah.
going to be breathing.
yeah.
That's funny.
Right.
We never like prepared for that, even though like my doctors told me I could
Dude.
deliver like rapidly.
Oh,
We were-
yeah.
That's
we were, like,
right.
Yeah.
Basically, our plan was if I started to go into labor,
Yeah.
and it was like middle of the day, like
Just go.
rush hour or something,
Yeah.
we would call the ambulance right away.
Really?
Yeah, that was our plan.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I had a friend who had a similar, like, they were afraid of the baby being, something was going on, but the labor was, things were happening really fast, and
Yeah.
they called an ambulance, and she, like, just made it in the nick of time. And I have another friend who, I think her third son, she had him on the gurney as they were being, like, loaded into
Oh
the
my
hospital.
gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah, so she didn't even, yeah, but hey, my hospital bill was probably a lot cheaper than
Yeah,
then.
totally.
That doesn't mean don't try to have a baby in the car.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, so
Cool.
that's
Awesome.
yeah. Cool.
So cool.
Is your high five?
I
Yeah,
think
we
so.
said high five.
Ready?
One,
two,
two, three.
Yeah!
Nailed
Dude,
that
we're
one.
getting really good at that.
So good.
You would think we practice every day. We don't.